Hello everyone, welcome to Your Questions on Astrology Answered, number 8 in my series, Great Questions, including Dasha Sandhi, the crossover between Maha Dasha and the destiny point known as Bhrigu Bindu, and other important questions. So, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to sub below and also post below this video if you have questions for me to answer in future series. Don't forget to make them general. I'm more likely then to use them because they're good for everyone. Give the video a thumbs up as well if it's good for you. Let's begin. Our first question this time comes from Claire. Hi Gina, I love your videos. Thank you. Can I ask deeper understanding of Dasha Sandhi? And if you're in this at the same time as Sati Sati, does it reduce Sati effects? I'm Taurus Ascendant and Pisces Moon. Thank you, Claire. Let me answer the first part in a little bit of depth. What is Dasha Sandhi? And then I will address the second part of your question. So what is Dasha Sandhi? Have you ever been on a bridge, everybody? A little bit shaky maybe, a bit scary sometimes. You can't wait to get to the other side. Or you may enjoy it. You may enjoy that feeling of insecurity. You're in between two places of solid ground. And that is what Dasha Sandhi is. The word Sandhi itself actually means a sort of crossing point. It's a way of shifting, going into a different state. And that is exactly what you are doing as you shift from one Maha Dasha to the next. Maha Dasha is you. Here's a big secret. Maha Dasha is you. When you are in Rahu Maha Dasha, you are the Rahu. Rahu hasn't got you, you become Rahu. When you're in Mars, you become Mars. When you're in Venus, you become Venus. It takes over your whole psyche, your whole way of looking at the world. According to your chart, of course, how those karmas work for you. And we get used to being in a vibration of any Maha Dasha, even Shani, even Ketu. We do actually acclimatize to it because we become that Maha Dasha. So when we come to the end of that time period, and we have to cross the bridge to the unknown of the next Maha Dasha, it is disconcerting. Let me just go through these Sandhi periods. Dasha Sandhi is 10% of each Maha Dasha. Let's see how it goes. So when you're going from Ketu Maha Dasha to Venus, the final 256 days of Ketu and the initial 2 years of Venus constitute the Dasha Sandhi period. When you're moving from Venus Maha Dasha to the Sun, it's the final 2 years of Venus plus the first 220 days of the Sun that are Dasha Sandhi. When you're going from the Sun Maha Dasha to the Moon, it's the final 220 days of the Sun and the first year of the Moon Dasha. Moving from Moon to Mars Maha Dasha, it's the final year of the Moon and the first 256 days of Mars Maha Dasha that altogether constitute Dasha Sandhi. Quite difficult transition, by the way, when you go from the malefic Mars to Rahu. It's the final 256 days of Mars Maha Dasha plus the first 1 year and 10 months of Rahu. Moving from Rahu to Jupiter Maha Dasha, it's the final 1 year, 10 months of Rahu plus the first 1 year and 6 months of Jupiter. Going from Jupiter to Saturn Maha Dasha, it's the final 1 year, 6 months of Jupiter plus the 1 year and 9 months when you start Saturn Maha Dasha. And going from Saturn to Mercury Maha Dasha, it's the last 1 year, 9 months of Shani Dasha plus the first 1 year and 9 months of Mercury. And finally, when you're moving from Mercury to Ketu Maha Dasha, it's the last 1 year, 7 months of Mercury plus the first 255 days of Ketu. So what to expect in Dasha Sandhi as you cross the bridge from one Maha Dasha to the other? How's it going to be for you? The first thing to look at, by the way, is where are these two planets in your chart? The two Maha Dasha lords involved in this Dasha Sandhi crossing happen to be in the same sign, same rasi. It actually makes it slightly easier, smoother. Why? Because they're already working together in your chart. They are already having this relationship together, being in a conjunction. So it's same sign, not aspect, not rasi aspect, not a drishti aspect. Just being in the same sign helps you to actually cross the bridge. Let's say you've got Mars in conjunction to Rahu in your chart in the same sign. So therefore, when you move from Mars to Rahu Maha Dasha, it's not an easy transition. I've just spoken about that. It's a little bit choppy to say the least, but having them in the same sign will take the edge off it. But mostly, though, they are not conjunct. Most people's Maha Dasha change over, and so it's a completely different situation in your chart which is being opened up. You are going through the door to a new situation. You are crossing the bridge, but you don't quite know what you're going to see until you get there. So, which is the most difficult period of Dasha Sandhi? Is it the ending or is it the beginning of the new Dasha? I've seen again and again, it's the ending of the Maha Dasha that is the most difficult. I'm going to talk about Dasha Chidra in a minute because that is also part of Dasha Sandhi, the final Bhukti period of Maha Dasha. But when we're comparing this bridge phenomena, this crossing over period, it is that ending, that last Maha Dasha, where the pressure from that Maha Dasha Lord becomes strong in your head. You feel pressure to get something, do something, be something before it's all too late. Very often, though, even though you feel this pressure to achieve, to finally do something, things are more or less unstable because you're on the bridge. It's not a stable situation. Things are literally falling apart around you. It can often seem like the whole life is just falling away from you. There can be death of people near to you. There can be loss. There can be loss of job, loss of status, loss of home. There can be the most amazing difficulties. And yet some people don't experience those outer difficulties, but inside they are losing confidence. They are losing faith in themselves. So either outside or inside, there is always some loss when you go through that final patch of any Maha Dasha. However, the good news is once you've made the transition, once you are in the new Maha Dasha, it's still Dasha Sandhi, it's still that beginning portion of that new Dasha. It's a bit like you've entered a new country, a foreign land, where you don't know the language, you don't know the customs, it's all a bit strange, but it's a little bit exciting, but it's still unstable. It's not as bad because you finally made that transition. Here you are, and you've got to get on with it. So it actually feels a big relief when you are in the new Maha Dasha, but it's still Dasha Sandhi because the vibration, the hold of that graha is not yet strong enough with you. But the good news is once you're in a new Dasha, it is Dasha Sandhi, it is unstable, but people come to help you. Circumstances buoy you up. Once you are in that double Dasha vibration like Rahu, Rahu, Mars, Mars, Ketu, Ketu, even whatever it is, something new comes, some new person, some new situation inevitably comes that takes you through that Dasha Sandhi. Something or someone holds your hand. Now, just to add another layer to make things clear, because people confuse Dasha Chidra with Dasha Sandhi. I've been talking about the bridge between two Maha Dashas, 10% of each, as I've just shown you. But the whole of the last Bhukti of any Maha Dasha is known as Dasha Chidra. So say you're in Mars Maha Dasha, once you get to the Bhukti or the antardasha of the moon, the last portion, it's going to be Dasha Chidra, very choppy, very difficult, very challenging, whatever. But for some people, Dasha Chidra is not so difficult because of the placement of the Bhukti Lord. So where is the moon from Mars? That will make all the difference. I've already addressed for you the very clear technique by which you can judge every Bhukti of Maha Dasha, including the last one, Dasha Chidra, in my series of antardashas in Maha Dasha. So I will link that series below and you can check that out for yourself. Now, the final portion of Claire's question. Claire asks, what if you're in Dasha Sandhi, but you're also in Sati Sati, 7.5-year transit of Saturn to your moon? Claire says, will Sati Sati effect reduce? No, it won't. Definitely not. It won't reduce, not in that sense, because they are completely different karmas. There's whole layers of karmas, going on at any one time. Our life is not so simple. Haven't you noticed that? I'm sure everybody has, all the different layers of things we are experiencing. So no, but there is an interesting aspect to your question, Claire. Because when we are in Sati, we are working 24/7. Everybody has to put their nose to the grindstone during that 7.5-year period of Sati. So you might actually not notice Dasha Sandhi happening so much. It really mightn't become that big a thing if you are really applying yourself. You see, Moon is the mind and Saturn concentrates the mind. So it could help you. Conversely, though, if you are not getting it together in Sati, if you are moping around feeling sorry for yourself, then actually going through Dasha Sandhi at the same time could actually make it even worse. So the solution is, if any of you are going through Sati at the same time you're crossing the bridge in Dasha Sandhi, try to get your act together as soon as you can. Apply yourself fully to that task at hand, and Saturn will surely reward you. Check out the video on my channel, Sati, for more detail. Next question from Eric Campos. Thank you, Gina. Your videos are wonderful and very informative. Thank you. I've heard mentioned in several videos that Jupiter represents husband in a female chart. That's correct. And Venus represents wife in a male chart. Yes. What planet represents a spouse when the person is gay? What planet is used when the person is gender fluid, non-binary? Thank you. Well, thank you for the question. Now, my answer to this may not be exactly what you're wanting to hear here, Eric, because I've seen such basically complicated and really unwarranted solutions to the factor of sexuality. They're making a big thing about it. It doesn't really matter what sexuality you are. Venus, Sukra, is a karaka for your partner. And this goes for everybody, heterosexual relationships also. Venus is the attraction. Venus is a sexuality. Venus is the desire nature. So Venus is what we have to look for, even if there is not children coming from that relationship. Venus still shows the sexual desire which is normally there. And indeed, the 7th house from Venus tells us everything we need to know about the partner. Another secret I need to share sometime. So don't worry too much about Venus as the wife male chart, Jupiter as the husband female chart. Don't let this go into some complicated solution. That's traditional astrology, where the wife was that beautiful Venus factor, where the husband was that knowledge, that older person who brought security, knowledge, wisdom. That's tradition. It's still valid, but it should not take away from the importance for everybody of Venus. But of course, Vedic astrology has a perfect solution to this, which is to use the Dara Karaka, not shown in the Western system. The lowest degree planet is the spouse, is the ideal partner, is your destined partner, whatever your sexuality. So there's my answer, Eric. And I know that somehow it may not have been what you expected to hear, because I know many people have said such things as Mars is the partner in a male gay person's chart. Then, Mars is their partner. Mars, not Venus, and all this stuff. No. This is not going to give you any help at all. Mars is nobody's partner. Mars is a celibate warrior. He's a brahmachari. Please don't bring Mars into relationships. That book, Women Are From Venus and Men Are From Mars, is the worst thing that's ever happened to astrology. Certainly messed up people's idea of men and women and Venus and Mars in astrology unnecessarily, hopefully not so much in the Vedic system. By the way, Sun is male gender and Moon is female gender. That's how you see that. So I hope in some way I have answered your question. Let me know. Now, someone has asked me 4 questions and I've got rid of their name in the process because I'm going to answer the last one. So I'm very, very sorry. Difference between a birth at no moon and birth at a full moon. What kind of personality and character gets bestowed upon the individuals in both cases respectively? So thank you for this question. It's very interesting. Yes, birth at no moon means dark moon. Birth at full moon means just full moon. And it does impact your character. It does impact your destiny. Let me discuss this. To answer your question, though, I'm going to start by looking at birth on a dark moon and a bright moon. This affects everybody. Everybody is actually born on one of these phases. So are you born on a dark moon? You are if the moon is within 72 degrees from the sun in your chart. So get out your birth chart and check. If the moon is within 72 degrees either side of the sun, you were born on a dark moon. So what does it mean if you were born on a dark moon phase? How does this affect you? It affects you deeply. Because the moon is our mind, when you were born, the moon was not visible in the sky. So you are emotionally vulnerable. You become easily stressed, agitated, on edge in general. It doesn't so much impact what you achieve in life. You can be very successful by many other factors, but it does increase stress in your mind, stress in your life. Relationship with the mother particularly can be somewhat stressful. Also, because the moon was lacking in light when you were born, you're going to find that your mind becomes darkened easily. You look at the dark side of life, not the bright side of life. You know that song? Always look at the bright side. Well, you're definitely not going to do that so much. That's difficult. That's pointless for you because your mind sees the dark side of life. So don't be afraid of that, but don't let it actually disturb you so much. Become a bit detached from it. So yes, you have those dark moments. You get depressed. You get dejected. Life becomes a heavy burden sometimes, but there is a great blessing to be born on this dark moon. You literally see in the dark. You have tremendous intuition, insight. Your mind is illuminated from within. Use this special blessing. When life puts you in a corner and you're born on a dark moon, you, more than anyone, can find your way out. Where other people are going around in circles looking for help from this area, that area, you can help yourself. From the deepest recess of your inner mind, inner soul, you get the solution to your problems. This is a very special thing. It really makes you independent, but it makes you tremendously self-reliant as well. So dark moon people may not be so sociable, may have many hours spent alone sometimes because they need that. But my goodness, can you bring yourself out of sticky situations more than almost anybody else? There are, of course, many remedies to increase the power of this dark moon because it's known as a weaker moon. But as I say, that's a misdemeanor. It's not a weak moon. It's simply gone inwards. It's gone towards that deep secret place. So to help you deal with social life, to help you deal with relationships, you need a remedy. Simple solutions help, like fasting on a Monday, the moon's day, or just not having milk products ruled by the moon on that day. And indeed, you can wear white as well. If you are female, don't wear too much white though. That is not helpful. So these things strengthen the moon. By the way, don't eat meat on a Monday. That goes without saying. But the most healing thing for every dark moon to strengthen the moon is to have that time alone. Every day you must have time alone. You must find a quiet place where you can meditate, listen to relaxing music. Just be alone with your own thoughts, not worrying, but just relaxing. Going into nature, walking in the woods, being by the sea, on your own, of course, wherever it is, you need that time. It is something that will strengthen the moon tremendously. Now, the bright moon. If you were born with the moon more than 72 degrees away from the sun, whether it's increasing or decreasing, doesn't matter. Moon has more than 72 degrees away from the sun, you were born on a bright moon. First thing about being born on a bright moon is it increases your sociability, your ability to reach out naturally to other people. It also should improve relationship with the mother. At least she is reaching out to you. Probably. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy relationship because so much else has to be seen in the chart. The moon being visible or bright at your birth helps you to get on with the daily chores of life, the daily grind of life. You just get on with it. It doesn't impact you emotionally so much. You don't get so stressed. Now, having said that, you can get stressed by other factors impacting the moon, like Shani, Rahu, etc. But in itself, this moon helps you to get on with life, move ahead naturally without being overly concerned about minor things. A bright moon attracts support to you, so other people come to help you in all the different phases of your life. But there's still a negative side because a bright moon does so much in life. You're so much out there doing things that sometimes you just take on too much and you've got so many avenues, so many strings to your bow, you don't quite know what you're doing. You can literally overwhelm yourself, especially with an afflicted bright moon. And what about, as you said in the question, birth on the actual new moon itself and the actual full moon? This is a tithi, a 12-degree period shown in your birth chart. So check carefully if the sun and the moon are within 12 degrees of each other, no matter what sign. It's not sign-based, but degree-based. You were born on Amavasya, new moon. And if it's a full moon, it's the sun and moon opposed to each other. So sun and moon within 12 degrees of each other in opposition is going to be the Purnima or full moon. Let's have a look. Now, people become fearful about birth on Amavasya, new moon. Don't be. It's a very special factor. There's a very special karma here. Certainly, it gives you a very strong desire nature. You can even have power over other people. There's a sort of magic about you when you have your birth on this Amavasya, new moon. Certainly, there's extreme emotions, intensity of emotions. People generally don't understand you very well. You do not express emotions in an easily understandable way. There can even be health issues sometimes because Amavasya is a high pressure factor, particularly health issues in your childhood. Make the most of your tremendous intuition, your tremendous inner power. Don't hide emotions so much. Don't be afraid to express emotions, especially to your nearest and dearest. No, you're not the most sociable person, but you don't need to be. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. And Amavasya gives you definite occult knowledge, occult wisdom. The secrets of life become available to those who are born on Amavasya. As far as your destiny is concerned, because that was the question, birth on Amavasya will definitely mean this is a new phase in your karmic destiny in this incarnation. It's like a brand new birth. You are beginning afresh. That's why everything seems so shaky, so a little bit scary to you. It's a new beginning. So be kind to yourself. Don't try to be who you are not. Be true to yourself in every way when you are born on this tithi. Now, birth on the tithi of the full moon Purnima is looked on as most fortunate. It's a special opening when the sun and the moon are exactly looking at each other. Moon is at its fullest in the sky, at its most brilliant, at its brightest. It is a fortunate thing generally. It gives you good emotional regulation. People think full moon is like manic, like it's going to make you into a maniac. That's what in the Western astrology they would say. Full moon, everybody goes mad. No, actually, full moon, everybody expresses emotion openly. You're born on the full moon tithi known as Purnima. You are definitely an extrovert in some way. You are socially integrated. You need other people. You need to be out there socializing, connecting to other people. Don't be afraid of this. Go with it. It is your full destiny. Mostly birth on Purnima, minus of course if you are born on eclipse where you have Rahu, Ketu involved. But normal birth on Purnima means that you are self-content. You are content with the world, content with your situation. And if you are discontented, you will quickly move into a smooth way to deal with a situation. You don't let your emotions agitate you too much. You simply express them and you deal with them. Birth on Purnima is a fulfillment of many prior births. It's a fulfillment of fortune, actually. So even if you come into life by other karmas in a sort of destitute or difficult situation, virtually, fortune shines on you and you come out of that. Next question, more like request actually. Sorry, I can't say your name, so I'm not going to try to pronounce it wrongly. Ma'am, can you please, the next video on Bhrigu Bindu? Many people have actually asked questions about Bhrigu Bindu, so let's go. So yes, thank you for your question and for your request, because Bhrigu Bindu is the destiny point in our chart. It's one of those midpoints where we take a mathematical point between two planets in our chart, or sometimes some of these midpoints are between ascendant and a planet. Some are more important than others. You shouldn't go too mad with these midpoints. You scatter them all over your chart and basically you're going down that Western system where there's too much and not enough depth. You see, midpoints developed in a big way in the Arabic astrology, and that came over into the modern Western system, which is very degree based. And these midpoints became very important in the modern Western astrology because basically that's all there is to deal with, the planets and the points between them. But this Bhrigu Bindu is especially important. That's why I've had so many requests to speak about it. Bhrigu is a sage in the Vedic system, sage Bhrigu, and Bindu means a spot, a marker. So Bhrigu Bindu is a destiny point coming from the midpoint of Rahu and the moon. Why Rahu and the moon? Well, yes, Rahu is the node of the moon, north node of the moon. All the planets have a node, by the way, but it's much more complex and deeper than that. Especially in the Vedic system, we see far, far deeper because Rahu is the cause of our rebirth. We are here only because of Rahu. No living entity gets a material body except for Rahu. Ketu takes us out of here. Rahu brings us back. And the moon is our life on earth. It's the life of our physical body. It's our mind. It's our whole experience of material life on this plane. So the midpoint between Rahu and the moon is so important. It's our destiny point. Why we came here, what we have to experience is strongly indicated by the placement of this midpoint, Bhrigu Bindu, in your chart. And transits to this point are extremely important. So let's start with the calculation. Now, how to calculate Bhrigu Bindu is not on the basic Deva Guru, which I like to use and to advertise for you, but you know what? It's so easy to calculate. You may find it on Jagannath Hora. You will definitely find by a Google search many places to get this. But look, let's just do it ourselves. It's a basic mathematical calculation, and it's good to know how to do midpoints. It's really good astrology. The first thing is we need to know how the zodiac itself has different degree points. This sounds complex, don't switch off. We're going to find the position of Rahu in your chart, the position of the moon, but we're going to need to see that position by the zodiac degree, not the sign degree. So Aries sign is starting at 0 degrees. Taurus starts at 30. Gemini 60, Cancer 90, Leo 120, Virgo 150 degrees, and directly opposite, Libra starts at 180 because a complete circle is 360 degrees. Scorpio starts at 210, Sagittarius 240, Capricorn 270, Aquarius 300 degrees, and Pisces 330, bringing us back to 0 again. We have come a complete circle. So to find your Bhrigu Bindu, you take the degree of Rahu in your chart, but you have to convert it to the zodiac. You take the degree of the moon in your chart from a zodiac point of view, you add them up, and you divide them by 2. So for example, if somebody has Rahu at 15 degrees of Aries and the moon is at 24 degrees Leo, just making these up, the first thing we have to do is convert these degrees to degrees in the whole zodiac. Let me show you once again using the wheel. So using our wheel, we start with 15 degrees Aries. That just stays the same because Aries is 0. So 15 Aries is 15 degrees in the zodiac. Then we move to Leo. Leo starts at 120 degrees. So we add 24 to 120 and we get 144. So using that formula I've just given you, we add 15 to 144, we get 159 degrees. We divide 159 by 2 to find the midpoint and we get 79.5. If you get 0.5, sometimes you do, ignore that fraction. Just call it 79 degrees. Now we need to convert 79 degrees back into a sign placement. I'm sure you can see where it's going to be, everybody. 79 is between 60 and 90, so it's going to be in Gemini. So 60 to 79 is 19, so it's 19 degrees of Gemini. There it is then, the Rahu 15 Aries and Moon 24 Leo, the Bhrigu Bindu is 19 degrees of Gemini. What do we do next? We see what house this is placed in from your ascendant and we can make a prediction. Then I will show you how to use transits to this Bhrigu Bindu. When the Bhrigu Bindu is placed in the first house of your chart, it's very destiny-making indeed. You make your own destiny, as they say, but you are here to definitely start again doing something you didn't complete last lifetime. This can take you into fame, into world renown in some cases. Just make sure it's good fame, not notoriety. You certainly stand out in the crowd, and you certainly have a great deal of power to your personality. When the Bhrigu Bindu is in the second house of your chart, your family of origin is extremely karmic. Extremely destiny-making situations develop in your early childhood and continue to happen through your family itself. Family, wealth, fame, a great deal of security can come if this is a well-placed, well-aspected Bhrigu Bindu. Your destiny is connected to your family. It's a sign of speech, so speaking publicly or what you have to say in some way is going to be the key to your destiny. Sometimes even singing, because second house rules the singing voice as well. Bhrigu Bindu is very creative in this third house as well. Third house is a house of the hands. So using hands in some creative skill like painting, artistry, writing, because it's the house that holds the pen traditionally. Your destiny may hinge also on the media, being a part of media in some way, or any computer technology factors also become very skilled and part of your forward destiny. Of course, third house is your siblings, specifically younger siblings. Some connection with them, some destiny-making events with them are definitely going to be very important. Bhrigu Bindu, fourth house, country of origin, home and family is the destiny place for you. Sometimes a very karmic connection to your mother is shown. Your destiny is tied up to your domestic life, to your domestic situation. Every time you move, your whole destiny will change more than the normal actually. Property, buying property, landed interest, all these are tied up with your destiny. Bhrigu Bindu in the fifth house, enormous creativity, enormous inventiveness is shown. Most importantly, it's the house of children. So having children is a complete destiny turning point in your life. Everything changes after that. It's another placement giving fame, even notoriety, because it's the actual house of fans, people who simply adore you. So you can become very, very popular by this Bhrigu Bindu fifth house. You love to learn, you love to teach also. Bhrigu Bindu, 6th house. First thing, it's the actual house of arguments and litigation. You can have skill in law fields, all of these fields, if it is not too afflicted here. But the 6th house is the house of enemies. So you often have to deal with very serious enemies or competitors in your life. Deal with them ethically and your life moves forward. It's the house of health, well-being. So Bhrigu Bindu here will bring you health issues karmically, which you have to deal with. Don't be afraid of this. This is a house of inner cleansing. You can learn tremendous ways of dealing with health issues and help others as well. You can have a healing influence on other people. Serving them and helping them through their difficulties gives you strength every time. 6th house rules small animals, pets, and a very special destiny with them is often seen in this case. In the 7th house, your whole destiny changes when you marry. Spouse is the key to your destiny. You have to see the whole chart, 7th house law, to see far more than that. But definitely, Bhrigu Bindu, marriage is a destiny-changing factor. It's a very important placement for business people because Bhrigu Bindu is in the marketplace. So partnerships or self-employment or just being an entrepreneur, Bhrigu Bindu can show destiny-changing factors when you go into business. Huge ups and downs in life are shown when you have Bhrigu Bindu 8th house. Crises come into your life and your whole life is turned on its head, and then you start again. You transform yourself in the most amazing way. The complete power of transformation has been given to you when you have Bhrigu Bindu in the 8th house. There can be wills, legacies, inheritances, which once again are destiny-making factors in your life. And any change in a marital relationship, once again, turns your life into a new direction. It's a powerful position for people in medicine, doctors, surgeons, and also for astrologers, those who are dealing with the occult. Bhrigu Bindu, 9th house. Philosophy, religion is important to you. It's your destiny to pursue some definite system of philosophy or religion. It will help you. It will liberate you. It will send you on a new direction. Foreign cultures, foreign lands may be deeply connected to this as well. So foreign travel definitely opens up a whole new era in your life. Even if you don't stay there, going there is important. Finding guru, mentor, teacher is important. An important guru comes into your life most definitely in this incarnation. Of course, simply going into higher education will set your life on a whole new direction, one that it did not have before. So never give up on your education. If you have Bhrigu Bindu in the 9th house, you must continue. You must get those higher qualifications. And of course, Bhrigu Bindu here relates to your father. Father's destiny is closely entwined with yours. Bhrigu Bindu in the 10th house, making your name and fame in the world, your career, the work which you do is important. You have to work 24/7. There is no end to the amount of tasks you have to do when you have Bhrigu Bindu in this karma house. A 10th house Bhrigu Bindu can take you into a prominent position as a boss, as a leader, as an authority in some way. That can be seen, but you have to work up slowly. It doesn't come to you automatically. Hard work has to be there. When the Bhrigu Bindu is in the 11th house of your chart, your friends will make or break your destiny. Connections with them, happenings with them will send your life in a new direction. 11th house brings our desires into prominence. A desire to give to the greater good has been there for some time. This life, you have the chance to fulfill that desire. You have a debt, as it were, to give to society through politics, social work, some service work, and you have to fulfill this. It's a house of elder siblings, so sometimes one elder sibling particularly is connected to the destiny-changing factors in your life. Bhrigu Bindu in the 12th house. It's a house of foreign lands. Very often you have to move abroad or you have to leave your place of birth at an early time, whenever it is, and spend your life on foreign shores. This is commonly seen. Even if you don't move abroad, Bhrigu Bindu 12th house brings foreigners or people from far distant places into your life to change your destiny. Spirituality, religion is going to be important to you at some point, just like when you have an 8th house Bhrigu Bindu. There can be occult knowledge as well as a deep spirituality. But Bhrigu Bindu here also shows that secret enemies, people oppose you who you don't know about, can be very important in your destiny, something to be aware of. Now, because Bhrigu Bindu is a midpoint, the transits are the most important factors to be looking for. Now, don't get into this idea that malefics like Rahu, Ketu, Shani, Mars coming over Bhrigu Bindu will be disastrous. Sometimes it's the complete opposite. Sometimes even a Jupiter transit to your Bhrigu Bindu destiny point can actually be negative. You see, don't treat this as a graha. It's a midpoint. It doesn't act in those traditional ways, and transiting planets don't even act in their normal capacity when they are affecting this point. But my goodness, will you notice them? Transits to Bhrigu Bindu turn your life virtually upside down. They show you a new way forward. Major events frequently happen. You can hardly miss it. Check it out. But one thing to be aware of, Bhrigu Bindu is a midpoint, and every midpoint affects through the opposite point as well. So say you've got Bhrigu Bindu in Capricorn in your chart, you must always watch for transits in Cancer sign when they are opposed to that point. It doesn't have to be exact degree, just being in Capricorn sign, being in Cancer sign will really impact. And perhaps the most important of all are the transits of Rahu and Ketu. Let's look then at some example charts, everybody. I think this will really bring it home how Bhrigu Bindu is working. So Donald Trump then, to start off with, has his Bhrigu Bindu in 27 degrees of Leo in the first house. A powerful personality, a hugely self-made person. And when Rahu was in Leo, he became president of the United States. Of course, Donald Trump's chart is so powerful. He was born at this lunar eclipse, and of course the midpoint between Rahu and the moon is right in the middle, clearly seen at 27 degrees Leo. So this is very, very powerful. Funnily enough, Saturn is about to go into his 7th house. Not an easy transit, opposing Mars in 23, but also opposing Bhrigu Bindu, his destiny point. We'll just leave it there. Next, Boris Johnson, the ex-Prime Minister of the UK now. He has Bhrigu Bindu in Leo in the 12th house. Actually, it's interesting, isn't it? Leo, Bhrigu Bindu, both him and Donald Trump have that showmanship element, very important to their destiny. Check the sign also of your Bhrigu Bindu. I have not mentioned it, but something about that sign you will see is important to fulfilling your destiny in this life. Bhrigu Bindu in the 12th house of Boris Johnson's chart. Foreign lands are important, even foreign residence. He was born in New York, America. He spent all of his life, or most of his life, in the UK. He is now a UK citizen. So that's definitely shown here. But also, Boris Johnson is responsible for so much connection to foreign lands in his career. We could even say that Brexit, even begins with a B, is connected only to him. So there we are. Foreign lands and transformation connected to them is very much part of his destiny. But much more than that. 12th house is, as I've said, secret enemies. So Boris Johnson was brought down even recently by secret enemies. And what transit was occurring? Shani. Shani was at the beginning of Aquarius when his premiership was taken away from him, when there was that rebellion of his fellow MPs. Exactly opposite to that Bhrigu Bindu, and conjunct, of course, to his natal Saturn. All the enemies came out of the woodwork. Now next, Anastasia Romanov. I've used her chart many times. It's so startling in its configuration. She was the youngest daughter of the Tsar of Russia, Nicholas II. She, together with her mother, father, all of her siblings, were brutally murdered by the Communist Party of Russia in 1918. She was only 17. And the Bhrigu Bindu midpoint of Rahu and the Moon is in Leo this time. Once again, actually, in Leo. I didn't plan this, but 3 Bhrigu Bindus in Leo. Well, of course, in this case, it refers to her family because it's in the 2nd house. So her destiny is totally tied up with that of her family. And of course, Leo is the sign of the king. And her father was a king, the Tsar of Russia. Notice also that Bhrigu Bindu is with Mars, quite a violent configuration, mostly because it's in a trigger yoga where 3 houses are occupied only by the grahas, Gemini, Sagittarius and Leo. Rahu, Ketu don't count in that yoga. I've shown you previously how this creates a sort of trigger effect here going towards Mars and her destiny point, almost like a bullet being fired that ultimately killed her. So she had a very tragic and violent death. But of course, there's much more to see in the D9 chart, etc., supporting that. Nonetheless, it's not surprising to see because Bhrigu Bindu definitely responds to transit. Mars was exactly at 17 degrees Leo on the exact date of her death. Another Bhrigu Bindu in the 2nd house, it's Madonna. Of course, as I've said, 2nd house is singing talent. It's the voice. So Madonna's destiny connected to her singing without doubt. But you notice the sign, everybody? Virgo. I don't know how much I have to put emphasis on this, but her first hit was Like a Virgin. Her first major worldwide hit was Like a Virgin, and there it is. The most destiny-affecting factor for Madonna was the loss of her mother. Can be seen in other factors like Saturn, 4th house. But when Jupiter came to Pisces, she lost her mother when she was 5 years of age. Jupiter opposing to that Bhrigu Bindu. Check out the many other questions I've answered from viewers right now up on your screen in my Any Questions series. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to sub below. Goodbye for now, and God bless everyone.